Good morning, class. Today we are going to see the physiology of nerve impulse conduction, the excitability of membranes, the electrical and chemical transmission between the cells. This is what we have already covered in the previous slides. That is the general physiology, that is various systems like brain, like neuron, like digestive system. We have also seen the structure of the neurons and brain. After we complete this topic, these are the learning outcomes. That is, we will be learning the physiology of conduction of nerve impulse, various steps, the excitability of membranes, electrical and chemical transmission between the cells. Okay, so moving on to next topic, that is neurons. Neurons, also known as nerve cells, send and receive signals from your brain. While neurons have a lot in common with other types of cells, they are structurally and functionally unique. Specialized projections called axons allow neurons to transmit electrical and chemical signals to other cells. Neurons can also receive these signals via root-like extensions, which are also called dendrites. So at birth, the human brain consists of an estimated 100 billion neurons. Unlike other cells, neurons do not reproduce or regenerate. They are not replaced once they die. So the creation of new nerve cells is also called neurogenesis. While this process is not well understood, it may occur in some parts of the brain after birth. And researchers gain insight into both neurons and neurogenesis, and many are also working to uncover links to neurodegenerative disease like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And I'm sure that they will get success about it. As we said, neurons vary in size, shape and structure depending on their role and location. However, nearly all the neurons have three essential parts, that is a cell body, axon and dendrites, and that we will discuss in the next class. To give an overview, cell body, which is also known as soma, the cell body is the neuron's core. The cell body carries genetic information, maintains neuron structure, and provides energy to drive activities. Like other cell bodies, a neuron soma contains a nucleus and specialized organelles. It is enclosed by a membrane which both protects and allows it to interact with its immediate surroundings. Axon is a long tail-like structure which joins the cell body at a specialized junction, which is also called axon hillock. Many axons are insulated with a fatty substance called myelin. Myelin helps the axon to conduct an electrical signal. Neurons generally have one main axon. Dendrites are the fibrous roots that branch out from the cell body. Like antenna, dendrites receive and process signals. Neurons can have more than one set of dendrites, which is also called dendritic trees. Moving on to the function of neurons. Neurons send signals using action potential. And action potential is a shift in the neuron's electric potential that is caused by the flow of ions in and out of the neural membrane. Action potential can trigger both chemical and electrical synapses. So moving on to chemical synapses, in a chemical synapse, action potentials affect other neurons via a gap between the neurons, which is called synapse. Synapse consists of a presynaptic ending, a synaptic cleft, and a postsynaptic ending. When an action potential is generated, it is carried along the axon to a presynaptic ending. This triggers the release of a chemical messenger which are called neurotransmitters. These molecules cross the synaptic cleft and bind to the receptors in the postsynaptic ending of a dendrite. Neurotransmitters can easily excite the postsynaptic neuron, causing it to generate an action potential of its own. Alternatively, they can inhibit the postsynaptic neuron, in which it does not generate an action potential. Similarly is the case with the electrical synapses. Electrical synapses can only excite. They occur when two neurons are connected via a gap junction. This gap is much smaller than a synapse and includes ion channels which facilitate the direct transmission of a positive electrical signal. As a result, electrical synapses are much faster than chemical synapses. However, the signal diminishes from one neuron to the next, making them less effective at transmitting. Now moving on to various types of neurons. Neurons vary in structure, function, and genetic makeup. Given the sheer number of neurons, there are thousands of different types, much like there are thousands of species of living organisms on Earth. In terms of function, scientists classify neurons into three broad types: sensory, motor, and interneurons. Sensory neurons help in taste, smell, hear, see, and feel the things around. Sensory neurons are triggered by physical and chemical inputs from the environment. Sound, touch, heat, and light are the physical inputs, whereas smell and taste are the chemical inputs. For example, stepping on hot sand activates the sensory neurons in the sole of your feet. Those neurons send a message to the brain which makes you aware of the heat, and you immediately move your feet out of the sand. Next is the motor neurons. Motor neurons play a role in movement, including voluntary and involuntary movements. These neurons allow the brain and spinal cord to communicate with the muscles, organs, and glands all over the body. There are two types of motor neurons, lower and upper. Lower motor neurons carry signals from the spinal cord to the smooth muscles and the skeletal muscles. Upper motor neurons carry signals between the brain and spinal cord. For example, when you eat, lower motor neurons in your spinal cord send signals to the smooth muscles in your esophagus, stomach, and intestine. These muscles contract, which allows the food to move through your digestive tract. Moving on to the interneurons. Interneurons are the neurons that connect two brain regions, that is, not direct motor neurons or sensory neurons. Interneurons are the central nodes of the neural circuits, enabling the communication between the sensory or motor neurons and the central nervous system. They play vital roles in reflexes, neural oscillations, and neurogenesis in the adult mammalian brain. They function as with all neurons, it is able to stimulate the tissues through the use of neurotransmitter or chemical messengers. However, for the purpose of integration, interneuron utilizes different neurotransmitters than the peripheral nervous system uses. Typically, interneuron will release glutamate, an excitatory neurotransmitter, to activate the tissues in a reflex response. Similarly, they may utilize the gamma aminobutyric acid, which is commonly known as GABA, when inhibition of tissue is necessary. Unlike the peripheral nervous system, the central nervous system, including brain, contains many interneurons in the neocortex, making up to 80% of the human brain. Approximately 20 to 30% neurons are interneurons. Investigations into molecular diversity of neurons are impeded by the inability to isolate the cell population which is born different times for the gene expression analysis. Coming on to nerve impulse conduction. Nerve impulse, this is an overall physiological change that occurs in a neuron due to mechanical, chemical or electrical disturbance created by a stimulus. Its propagation through axon, synapse and neuromuscular junction is called nerve impulse conduction. Transmission of nerve impulse along nerve fiber can be summarized into 3 steps. First is polarization, which is also called resting potential. Then depolarization, that is called action potential, and moving on to further repolarization. Polarization, that is resting potential. A neuron at resting is electrically charged but not conducting. The exoplasm or plasma membrane of a resting neuron is negatively charged as compared to the interstitial fluid. The potential difference measured at this stage is called resting potential, which is about 70 megawatt. The interstitial fluid has high concentration of sodium ions, which is about 16 times higher outside the neuron than inside the neuron. Similarly, the exoplasm has high concentration of potassium ions, which is about 25 times higher inside than in outer interstitial fluid. Due to difference in concentration of ions, sodium ion tends to diffuse into the exoplasm and potassium ions tends to diffuse outside the exoplasm. The membrane of neuron at resting is more permeable to potassium ions than sodium ions. So potassium ions leaves the neuron faster than sodium ions enter the neurons. This process creates a difference in permeability which results in the accumulation of high concentration of positive charged ion outside the neuron as compared to the concentration inside. This state of resting neuron is called polarized state and it is electronegative in nature. Next is depolarization, that is the action potential. Any stimulus beyond the threshold can initiate an impulse. When such stimulus is applied in the resting neuron, it opens the sodium channel. Now the permeability of sodium ions suddenly increases at the point of stimulus causes depolarization. The diffusion of sodium ions increases by 10 times from outside to inside. Consequently, the exoplasm becomes positively charged, which is exact opposite to the polarized state, so called as depolarized state or reverse polarized state. The depolarization of the membrane stimulates the adjacent voltage channel, so the action potential passes as a wave along the length of the neuron. Moving on to repolarization. Now when the concentration of sodium ions inside the exoplasm increases, the permeability to sodium ions decreases and the sodium channels start to close. The sodium-potassium pump activates so that sodium ions are pumped outside and potassium ions are pumped inside until the original resting potential is restored. This process is known as repolarization and it starts from the same point from where depolarization starts. The entire process of polarization, depolarization and repolarization occur within the fraction of seconds. Now again the neuron is ready for another impulse. Next we move on to the excitability of membranes. The excitability of a cardiac cell depends on the passive and active properties of the cell membrane. The passive properties include the membrane resistance and capacitance and the intercellular resistance. The most important determinant of reduced excitability is the reduced availability of sodium ion channels. Under normal physiological conditions, the membrane potential remains in a relatively constant range. However, if there is an electrolyte imbalance, the equilibrium potential as well as membrane potential change. In case of hypokalemia, more potassium ions leak out of the cell during the resting state, which changes the membrane potential to a more negative value. Similarly, if hyperkalemia occurs, fewer potassium ions will move out of the cell through leaky potassium channels, and the resting membrane potential will become less negative. The direction of current decides the membrane potential. If there is an efflux of positive ions, the cell membrane will become hyperpolarized. If there is an influx of the positive ions, the cell membrane may become depolarized and generate an action potential. The same phenomena we have already seen and discussed. These are some of the references from where we have taken the material for this particular lecture, and also the YouTube animation of the video. Thank you class. Thanks for the patience, and we'll discuss all the queries in the next class. Thank you so much.